Hey class, in this video I'm just going to go over submitting the image project. I'm on Brightspace. We're going to go look at the assignments. And so you'll notice that our blog posts are kind of at the top of this section and our projects are down here at the bottom. So when you submit the image project, that's where you're going to find it. So scroll down here to the bottom. It's our first project, the image project. And we're going to take a look at the rubric. All of our assignments have these rubrics, and it's a good idea to kind of review them before you submit. For our image project, you're going to get 10 points for the overall composition and the design of the composition. This is kind of the more subjective, creative part of the assignment. So there should be a clear theme. The composition choices should work well together. It should be easy to understand what you're going for. After that, the Photoshop file, it should be using layers, filters, and masks the way that we've been demonstrating in class. It should be well organized, so it should have folders if you have tons of layers. If you don't have tons of layers, you don't really need a lot of folders. It should just be clear how it was created and look organized. 10 points for your documentation. So this is just going to be an image for this project. So we're going to go over exporting the image and adding it in there. There's also the image citations. You get 5 points for creating the blog post. That should be easy. 3 points for using correct grammar and clear writing, and 2 points for submitting the link correctly. So most of this stuff is pretty easy, and we'll go over the rest of the stuff. There is, for the documentation and blog posts, there is a format for these, so it's a little bit different than the weekly blog posts we do. You can see that on the image page on the Open Lab. So let's go over to the Open Lab. I'm going to leave this here, and we're going to submit it in a little bit. Let's go over to the image page. And so again, if you're not sure where to find this, if you're on the Open Lab page, just go to Topics and go to Image. And if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the submission section. And here is what you need to include in this post. So this post should be formatted in this specific way. You can put the image at the top or in the middle or at the bottom, wherever you want. But it should include all of this information. So let's go ahead and make this post. I'm going to keep this page open, but I'm going to go up here and add a post. So I'm going to open this link in a new tab. And so I can keep this here. And so we're going to make our image project submission. And so for the title of the post, you can write image project, or you can write the title of your image. So I'm going to say image New York City. And then we're going to choose our category. So I'll hide for a second. Let's go to categories. And this is just image. And so we can leave that there. I'll bring myself back. So now you can add the image. I like to have the image up top. You can put it at the bottom or in the middle, wherever you want, but I'm going to add the image here. So we need to export the image to do that. So I'm just going to review exporting real quick. So I'm going to flip over to Photoshop. I've got my image open here. This is going to be my final version of the image. If I was working on this as a project, I might spend a little more time tweaking and doing different stuff. But for now, this is going to be good. So I'm going to make sure this is all saved, and I'm going to go to File and Export. For this, I want you to use a JPEG because the way we're doing this is using a lot of color information. JPEG is going to be the best compression format for this. If it's around 500 kilobytes, that's fine. If it's like 10 megabytes, that might be too big. You can change the quality to whatever. If it's a couple megabytes, I wouldn't really worry too much about it. So we'll do quality 5. I think that's going to look fine. Let's zoom in a little bit and just take a look at our text. It looks fine. I don't see any issues with that. So I'm going to export this. And I already have an image called composite that was kind of my draft. I probably should have called it composite draft, but I'm going to call this composite final. And so I'll save that. And let's go over to the Finder. And here's my composite final. So it's a JPEG image. It looks good. So let's drag this into our post. So I'm gonna go back to my Chrome browser, and then I'm gonna open Finder here and drag that in there. And there we go, looks pretty good. And so we have our image, and now we're gonna put the rest of our project in here. So the first part is a project title. And you can write this in different ways. Like you could say title and then say New York City, or you can just write the title. It's up to you, whatever you think looks better. So the next thing after the title is the semester and year created. So for that, it's just going to be fall 2025. That's going to be the same for everybody. Next is the software or languages used. So for this one, we'll just say Adobe Photoshop. You can say Photoshop. You could say created with Adobe Photoshop, whatever you think sounds good there. And then the next part is a longer description. So I'm not going to write a whole long description because this is just an example video. But your description should be 3 to 4 sentences talking about the concept, why you chose the images you used, what was your inspiration, anything like that. What you don't want to talk about here is, Photoshop is hard. I couldn't log onto the Open Lab, blah, blah, blah. Like, we don't want to include anything in here that wouldn't make sense to just a random person who's looking at your work. We want to treat this like a portfolio piece and not just like a casual blog post. So for the description, you can say I, used a lizard image to add, or that sounds weird. I'm going to say I added a lizard into a scene of New York City to give the pigeon a friend to hang out with. It doesn't have to be like totally serious, but it should just kind of like talk about your concept and why you thought it was interesting. You can really write whatever you want here, 3 to 4 sentences, use decent grammar and make it clear. You don't have to go on and on and on, but, just give us a good description. So next part, this is going to be kind of the most tedious part, is adding the image citations. So I actually ended up using a lot of images because I added all those images in my pattern. You might not have that many. You might have like 1 or 2. But you have to add a citation for each image that you use that you didn't create. If you like took a photo with your camera and use that, then you can just say like, photo by the author or whatever. But anything that you use from another source, you have to use an image citation. So this is going to be the most tedious part. I'll do a couple examples. You can see I have 5 different images that I end up using. So I'll do a couple different examples just to kind of, show, but I don't need to do all of them. Okay, so this is a sample image citation. So you have the title of the image, the name of the creator, the license, the website you got it from, the date that it was either published or updated, and then a URL. So there's a lot of info, but it kind of covers all of our bases. So let's start with the lizard image. And if it's not clear which part of the image is what, you should indicate that. It should be usually pretty clear, but you want to make sure that it's clear. Okay, so with our lizard image, the file name is just lizard-e. So you could use that, or you could, call it lizard-e.jpg. I'm going to do that because it's not clear that it has a name. It has a description, but that's not really important. Okay, so I'll put quotation marks and then paste the name in there. That, it says lizard. It's pretty clear who created it. So now let's go, I'm going to get rid of that tab. And let's find the author. So the author is this person, Sajjad F. And you can just paste that in there. They actually have a link. This might go to their website, or it's just a user page. So there's nothing worth using there. Oh, actually, they have their whole name here. And they're asking for attribution. So let's make sure to include their full name. And it's good to read the details because people will say what they're looking for. So this is the license here. It's a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 unported license. So you can link to this. That's useful if you want. But what we really need is just this text, because if somebody sees that, they can look up what it means. They don't necessarily need a link, but we can link to it as well. So let's select this text, and I'm going to go to this link and just copy this URL. And then if I click on the little link button here, I can add a link here, and then you can actually edit to open a new tab. I usually do that, but you don't have to. Okay, so now we have our license. Now we need the website. So let's go back. The website is Wikimedia. And the date is here, 4th of November, 2013. We'll say November 4, 2013. And then the last thing we do is just add a link to this actual image. So I'll just copy that link and paste it there. So it's a little tedious, but that's the whole process. This makes sure we cover all of our bases, and so people understand that we're using these images with appropriate licenses. So I'm going to do one more as an example. Sometimes it's hard to find the license info, so I'll try to find one that's a little bit more challenging. This is actually a good one. Okay, so this image is called Beautiful Flower Free Stock Photo. Okay. Whatever, that's the name of it. Or actually, this just says Beautiful Flower, so we could just call this Beautiful Flower. Okay, so this is Beautiful Flower by, and the author is Tim Sullivan. So we'll do that. And put it here. And the license for this image is listed as CC0. So we don't even actually have to cite this, but if we look up what CC0 is, I typed in. So CC0 is just the least restrictive license. It's no rights reserved at all. So you can do whatever you want with this. So we can link here. You can just write CC0 or Creative Commons 0. CC0 is kind of like the cool, like, I know what I'm talking about way to do this. So let's put that in there. Or you could also say Creative Commons CC0 to be very explicit. So we have the license. And then we need the website. So the website we found this on is negative space. And then let's see if there's a date for this. It doesn't look like there is. Okay, so there's no date, so we can leave that out. And then we'll just copy a link. So you get the idea. That's the process. Do that for all of the images you used. I'm not going to do it for my flowers just because I think that will be kind of repetitive, but I will show you, sometimes you have to look for the license. So for this blue flower image, you can see the license here. You can click on it there or click on this question mark and it'll tell you more information. The title of the image, it's not clear to me where that is. Single blue flower. So that's the title of the image. Jennifer Williams is the author. The website is Flickr. And there's probably a date somewhere. Let's see. I don't see a date actually. Oh, there's a date down here in this info. So there's the date, February 26th. Okay, so sometimes you have to look around a little bit. This is public domain pictures. This has a bunch of ads on it, so it's kind of confusing, but I think this is the title, Nice Flower. There's some information about the camera. We don't really care about that. This is CC0, so it's the same license, and this is the author. Let's see if there's a date. Don't see a date, so you could skip that. But that's most of the information you need. For the bird image, if we go to this image and click on this more details, this is going to be the same thing that we were looking at with the other Wikimedia. So basically the same idea. You can see the license here. Okay, so that's a good example. Let's go back to our post. Okay, so we're done now with our OpenLab post. We just need to submit that as well as our PSD on the OpenLab. So this looks good. I am going to publish this. So I'm going to click publish, and that's going to take a second. But once it's done, we're going to copy that link, and we'll go to the OpenLab. So I'm going to copy this link. If you want to view the post and make sure it looks good, you can do that. Okay, so let's go back to Brightspace, and we'll paste that link in there before we forget. You don't have to add any other text or anything, just the link there. And now we have to add our file. So one thing that you may have done, if you have more than one Photoshop file, so if you created a pattern like I did, you may have like the composite file PSD and then the pattern. Where's the pattern? Oh, it's right here, pattern.psd. So if you have two files or more, like if you have a bunch of files that you want to include, the way that you can do that, you can upload multiple files, but the easy way to do this is to select these files and right click and go to compress. And the reason I'm showing this now is because as our projects get more complex, you're going to have more files, and you may, it's going to be more necessary to do this. So this makes a little archive. This is nice because it's going to compress everything, and I'll be able to download it and open it up. I won't have to download multiple files. This is also just typically when you work in the media world, this is how people expect you to be able to submit your project files. So it's just a thing that you need to be able to do. So we create this zip archive. You can call it, image, whatever you want, and it'll say .zip. On Windows, you can do this as well. It's not going to say compress when you click on the images. So I'm going to select the two images. So to do that, I can hit Shift and select the image. On Mac, it says compress. On Windows, it's going to say, I think archive, or you might have to do like send to archive or something like that, but it's in there somewhere. It may even, if you're on Windows, I think there's also like a button in the top area of the File Explorer that you can just click on. Anyway, we have this image.zip. We just want to submit this one file, and then I can open it and everything will be in there. What will happen when I download it, it'll just be a new folder with those files in it. So we're going to submit this image.zip. So I'm going to go add a file, my computer, upload. I'm going to find the image.zip, click open, and that's it. Once that's done, I'm going to click add and click submit. And that's it. So if you have any questions with that process, let me know. Again, make sure to check the rubric, make sure that you've done everything that's required. If if you're not sure how to do something, just send me an email and we can go over it. But yeah, that's it for our image submission. We will continue on next week and start going over audio. So that will be kind of fun. There'll be some similarities, there'll be a lot of differences. And so we'll start to see some cool new stuff. So I will see you guys in the next video.